So recently I've been trying to play more single player games, and this is due to my recent notice that I've just been playing the same two multiplayer games over and over and over and over and over again non-stop, not even giving myself the chance to step back and enjoy a wider variety of content that has some rich storyline behind it. And that is where in today's video the Yakuza franchise comes in. Now, I had heard amazing things about the game and the whole entire franchise in general, but I just never gave myself the chance to experience it, and when I first started hearing about the game, I didn't even call it Yakuza, I would call it Yakuza, based on the actual title, and because I knew nothing about what a Yakuza even was. So I began my journey recently with Yakuza 0, a game that at the time I expected to be a quick segment into the series, with it being my first entry, into the whole entire Yakuza franchise as a whole. But oh god, was I mistaken. Now, for a little bit more context here, as of right now, I have quite literally over an entire day, so over 24 hours of playtime in Yakuza 0, and I'm only on to Chapter 6. And now, before I started playing Yakuza 0, I went into the game basically blind. The only mention of the franchise I had ever noticed or paid attention to was the occasional mention from a YouTuber I watched called Some Ordinary Gamers, and someone on my Discord server who at the time was a big fan of Majima. However, they've changed to be some of the other Yakuza's characters recently. And when I had actually started the game, I was blown away by how detailed the characters are and how fleshed out the entire storyline is, to the point where every character you interact with can have some crazy backstory to them, to the point where you'll just be walking around, just walking down the street and suddenly meet a child who has an entire side story for you to go down. Speaking of walking around, by doing so you'll find so many mini games that you might have started a main quest line, you might have been doing something else, ended up completely forgetting about it because you just wanted that goddamn toy from the crane machine, or because you just ended up spending all your time bowling. And every time I think, alright, it's time to play the main storyline, it's time to get back on track, that exact same storyline ends up opening more side quests and side activities that I end up shoveling all my time and virtual money into. Somehow, like, these developers are some wizards because they managed to make all of it link together. Like, who knew that doing a side quest suddenly gives you a bonus to use in another side quest that you unlocked by doing the main quest? That's right, it's a giant questception and it works brilliantly. Now let's say you decide to grind out every single mini game and side quest to completion. Well, guess what? It helps your progress in the main storyline by a lot. By helping civilians in alleyways, you gain completion points. By bowling, you gain completion points. Every single task you do in this game has completion points just sitting there waiting for you. Even fishing has completion points. And now these completion points can be spent on very useful upgrades, such as reducing the amount of time it takes to complete certain tasks, gaining more money from defeating enemies, and even the ability to dash as long as you want without ever getting tired. This game is like an achievement hunter's dream because it truly just rewards everything you want to do. You want to go bowling? Boom, there's probably an achievement for it. You want to play Mahjong? There's achievements for that. There's completionist achievements. There's everything just sitting here, and it just all somehow linked together perfectly that I've never seen another game company do before. Now, personally, I like to describe this game in a very, very specific way whenever I talk about it to my friends because, in my opinion, it's just the best way to describe the game. So think about it like this. You sat down this dev team, you gave them a ton of drugs, like a ton of weed, whatever it might be, and you told them just add whatever the hell they wanted to the game, and somehow, while these guys are just coming up with the most mind-blowing mechanics, mind-blowing animations, just the craziest thing, they somehow made it link together and work so freaking well. And of course I can't, recommend this game to everyone, however, because while this game has a lot of side quests and everything for you to do, it is very cinematic and storyline heavy, and there have even been times where I'll sit there so long reading and watching the cinematics that my Xbox thinks I left the room and will literally dim the screen being like, hey, if you don't interact with us, we are going to turn off your console, to which I frantically end up shaking the sticks on my controller so that I can see all of the glorious quality again without that dumb dimming. And now, this review of Yakuza 0 is one that I didn't want to mention any spoilers of because honestly, if you haven't experienced this game yourself, I beg you to go out there and purchase the game or get like Xbox Game Pass if you play on an Xbox console or on PC so that you can just experience this world. And by experiencing this world, you really get a feel of what the two main characters are driven by, the two main characters being Kiryu and Majima. So if you just want my honest opinion about this game, from what I've experienced so far, I believe it deserves as much praise as anyone can possibly give it, because I went in not expecting much, because simply put, I didn't know anything about the franchise, and I ended up just having so much fun, even to the point where I'm out here saying at like 1 in the morning, no, 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 to my TV screen, just because, as I mentioned earlier, I can't get a toy from the crane machine, and it's just like, it's so serious to me, okay? I don't know why. You know, a game that has this like super like interesting undertone to it, the main storyline and stuff, and then I'll sit there freaking out over a crane machine toy that has no actual like benefits to the main game as far as I'm aware. And like, this game has a very serious side, as I mentioned, but it also has like a fun side and a very stylish side. Like, no joke. It may seem serious from the box art and descriptions of it, but when you actually play the game, you realize it's not always that serious tone 24/7, to the point where combat can just feel fun due to the animation and movesets you could actually unlock, obtain, upgrade, and all that stuff. And I once took a break from this world and just looked up the average completion time for the game, because I'm like, I put in 24 hours. How long does it take someone to complete the game, right? And apparently, the average time is, lo and behold, 66 hours if you book it for the main storyline, ignoring basically every side quest the game has to offer. And with that in mind, I decided to look up speedruns of the game, and the fastest speedrun I could find is 8 hours long. And that's a speedrun! So, like, just think about how much time you sink into this game and dedicate to the storyline, and just how fleshed out everything is, to the point where okay, so look, you know what? All I have to say here at this point is, if you haven't given the Yakuza franchise a try yet, and you're looking to experience something brand new and like entertaining, fun, whatever it might be, I beg you to go out and pick up Yakuza 0 and at least give it a try. Now, one thing people might say is that, oh hey, there's no, you know, like English dubbing to it. And honestly, I'm perfectly fine just reading the subtitles, because it doesn't like really take away from anything. You know, it might be a turnoff for some people, but personally for me, it was completely fine. And on that note, I'm going to head out and lose my mind at another crane machine. I'll see you champs and champettes on the flip side. Peace out.